So in problem 5, we have using a graphing calculator to graph each function in the intervals 0 to 2 pi. So you see the x there, that means that we are looking at the theta axis. So when you're looking into your calculator, this is going to be your x min and max. So you're going to have to adjust your window in a second. And then your y, this is going to be your y min and max. I'm not going to rewrite that, but that's what that y is telling us. And then we're going to evaluate each function for x is pi over 4, pi over 2, and 3 pi over 4. I'm going to show you two ways that you can find the y value based on an x value with your calculator. So we'll open up our calculator. That first problem there we're going to put in is y is 50 tangent x. Just a quick reminder, make sure that you're in radian mode. So we'll go 50 tangent x. 50 tangent theta would mean the same thing. Then we'll head to our window. Our min is 0. Our max is 2 pi, so you're going to type in 2 second pi, and then it's going to change to a decimal. I always just put my scale as half the window that I set up, so I'll just make this pi. Now we get to our y min. That would be the negative 200. Y max is 200. And then going from negative 200 to 200, maybe we want to count by 50s. So our y scale is going to go by 50 units. So that will set up our window, and then when we get to seeing a picture, we're going to evaluate for when x is pi over 4, pi over 2, and then 3 pi over 4. So let's head to take a look at the picture. So very similar to what we just graphed. Based on the b value, your asymptote is at pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, just like we did before. So there's your two asymptotes. Our y-axis is a lot bigger though now. That's 200 to negative 200 on the y-axis. Now there's two ways that you can calculate x values to find your y values. First is you go second, calculate, and then we're going to calculate a value. So you're going to select this very first one. If you watch the videos from the last section, we did some intersections. We're going to do that in number 7 here in a second. But number 1, we're going to calculate a value. And then you can tell the calculator, hey, this is the value I want to find. I want to find pi divided by 4. So you're going to be able to input any x value that you want. Pi divided by 4, it's going to tell you the value. The value is 50. Okay, I'll zoom in so you can see that. You're looking for the y value. So right there is what we're looking at. So pi over 4 is going to give us an output of 50. Take a look at the next one. I'm not going to go back and write those in. We're just going to stick to the calculator here. But you guys can do that on your own. So we'll head into second calc again. We'll do a value, and this time we're going to go second pi divided by 2. You don't have to open up the fraction button if you don't want to. You can just do that. Now pi over 2, if you remember back to the last one we graphed, and if you do pi over 2b on this one, pi over 2 is going to be an asymptote, so we should see an error message. And there it is. If you don't get anything right there, that is telling us that we're going to have an error. And the other way I'm going to show you how to do this, you will see that error message. But since y doesn't have anything, pi over 2 is right here. That's going to be undefined. So pi over 2 is undefined. Heading into number 3 pi over 4, excuse me. So we're going to head into second calc of value. And we're going to do 3 pi divided by 4. Oop, I meant to hit enter. 3 pi divided by 4. And negative 50, excuse me, would be your last result. So 50 was first, undefined second, negative 50 was our third answer. Now the second way to do it. The second way to do it is in your table. So if you hit second table, now our table, we're just getting all these values, and none of them are in terms of pi. There is a way that you can change your table a little bit. You're going to hit second table set. So second window brings you into this menu. Don't worry about the table start, delta table, don't worry about that. That's just your change in values. You're going to want to go down to independent. And instead of auto, we're going to change it to ask. So you hit ask, And then you're going to go back to your table and you'll look and you'll go, oh, it's gone. Well, that's because now it's set up so that you can put in anything that you want. So you can hit second pi divided by 4, and there's your value. Second pi divided by 2. This now will show us that error message. There's your error. 3 pi divided by 4. There's your result. Now, if you're graphing other things, you're going back and graphing sine and cosine, and you want to see all the values that we saw before, you have to go back to second table set, and you have to change this back to auto. So auto will just automatically get X values and give you Y values. But if you change it to ask, which is nice for this problem, then you can find those particular values, and now you just have a table set up with just the values that you want. The other nice thing is now when I graph the next one, these will already still be in my table, and I'm going to have all my results ready to go. So we'll review that again, but let's go back and graph number 5b. So 5b now is negative 100 tangent x. Okay, we're still using the same window that was in the direction, so we're good. We'll hit our graph. The negative makes it flip, so now we see the first cycle heading down, the next cycle goes up to down, the last cycle is going up to down. But the nice thing about what we did with that ask is now if I go second table, there's my 3 values. So whatever function I put in, it's still calculating the pi over 4, pi over 2, and the 3 pi over 4. If you don't like that way, the other option, remember, is you can go second calc value, and you can put in any value you want, pi over 4. This will still give you that negative 100 right there. So a couple of tips and tricks with the calculator. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're working with your calculator, just pause, rewind, go back, follow those key sequences. But it's a nice trick, especially the table set when you change it to ask. I know as you get to pre-calc, calculus, and those things that you'll be using that function quite a bit to help you with finding those X and Y values.